equality overall. One thing that I wanted to know is, in your time, and even now today, are there any collectives where athletes from different professional sports come together to talk about solutions to these issues, rather than having someone like you and Tommy who were like lone wolves at the time? Where do we see any collaboration in professional sports?
Republican or Black Democrat or Catholic or Bishop or gay or straight or rich or poor, fat or skinny, good or ugly. Black is black. You know, and we have a difficulty in terms of us realizing this. We're pounded into these young athletes now to tell them, say, man, you know, in my lifetime, the only time I really realized from my concept of Mexico City, they talk about the fist. Before the fist, there was 5 people of color. One of them could jump up and say, man, if I could move this phone over here, I could make a tremendous difference for the better for society. Steady all day, he can't lift that phone and move it. Another one jumped down out of the 5 and said, man, I see what you're doing wrong. You gotta put your hips into it. He's down there, he can't do it. But at the end of the day, the 5 of them realize when we come together, then we become that power base, that force. The only time that I've seen that is through Stacey Abrams, where we have come together as one for the election. But I tell people that we have to realize that moments that come in time, they're fleeting moments. They're not bonded still. It's not going to stand there until you wake up and realize that it's there. You take a second day and go after it, it's gone. When you have it before, you like being in that victory stand. I couldn't think about, well, I should do it next week, or well, I should have did it last week. It's here now. I got to do it now. Why? Because I would never be able to reach the masses of the people that I need to reach at that precise moment. I like to tell people, I say, you know, my thing was, I'm the beginning of the, what do you call that thing, where they got the internet going around the world? What do they call it? You know, when they use the internet, they can go social media or something. Well, we were the first social media. You know, when we did that thing in Mexico City, everybody saw it. By the time I got home that day, the world saw it. Understand? And it was such a powerful message at that particular moment. And we have to realize that we have to grab the moment in hand. So back to your question, I have set up a meeting right now with the NBA and hoping that I'll be able to extend it to the NFL. Tell these young players, now we can do little spot missions here, spot mission there, spot mission over there. But we have to have like a tidal wave mission. And I told them, I said, a tidal wave mission for us or for you guys would be to come together, do public service announcements. We do a lot of public service for them. Let's do public service for us. And the main premise of these public service announcements is to galvanize our young black and brown kids, to send them back to school with a new driven force, to make them understand the value of education. And then on the other end of the spectrum, let them know we're going to see that you get a decent shot, because we go to the federal government to make sure they direct all schools across this country to give a better educational system for all people. And then on the other side, to tell them, say, you have to make it clear to these young individuals that you're a professional athlete. You have aspirations to be a businessman, but you don't have the time to run a business if you're training, preparing for your job, your profession. So therefore, the outcome is for you to go to school, get your degree, because I need a new a new accountant. I need a new CEO. I need a new business office managing my business. That's you. That's why we got you going to school. Let them know I have these jobs, but I can't give you the job merely because you look like me. I have to give you the job because you're qualified to do the job. Okay? So that's what we are with the professional athletes. Let me say, before you ask another question, let me just say, it's a God gift to me. If you stand and say you be going to Stanford University, because my youngest granddaughter, she's a 5.0 grade point average, and She's a superstar baseball player or a softball player. And she's tripping right now about where should I go to school, Papa? They want me to come to LSU. They want me to come to Howard University. They want me to come there. And some people say, go to Howard. I said, well, Howard is nice, but I don't want to go to Stanford. See, my godson, Kenny Williams, is general manager for the Chicago White Sox when they won the championship. Stanford graduated, he and dad pushed him to go to Stanford. I see a lot of good things come out of that. My other kids, grandkids, and maybe my granddaughter's kid might go to Stanford. To Howard. But right now, I'm pushing to go to Stanford. And that's why we don't make it up, because you give me the inside, the blueprint, the whole 9 yards until you tell them what to be careful.
Oh, absolutely. I've had my own journey there.
That's why I'm
save that for another conversation. But I remember when I was in high school, it was my number one sport, and I was offered a scholarship at Hofstra, which is, predominantly white, Jewish, I held the home run record in DC for 5 years. And so when they came to talk to me about it, my coach was like, this is pretty cool. You're getting an offer for a scholarship to play softball, but at a white university, they're not going to give you the playing time that you deserve, because I also played third base. And so I was also looking at Stanford, and Stanford was offering me a full academic scholarship. And as much as I love the sports, that moment was him with my coach and understanding that, okay, you can go and you can play, but you may not get what you deserve. And he said, Stanford, you're sort of open the field. You may transition to sports, but there's more opportunity. And I think it's also unfortunate that our coaches have to even prepare us for that level of conversation where, hey, this is really cool. Somebody's coming to look at you. They think you're a great player, but you might not get to play, the way that these white folks are going to get to play time. They have, all of the organizations that throw money into these private schools. And that matters. Even at Stanford, they have some people, when I work for the Stanford Fund, they're calling saying, we only want our dollars to go to this type of program. So I think when it boils down to the professional sports and professional athletes, like we have to, from an economic standpoint, determine where we're going to put our dollars. Sort of money where your mouth is type of thing. And so I guess if I have time for one more question.
I want to see if anybody else.
Okay.
that's out there, that book is going to be there. And you read that book as well as watch that video. If you read the book, you can visualize in your mind and make you feel like you're in the story that you read. I'm honored to know you, man. And I'll always be honored to know you and brag about you.
Got to know this. Anybody else have a question, John? While you're here, you may go off.
I don't have the right as a human being to express what I'm experiencing in my life. They're wrong. As I stated, when you have a moment that's taking place, you're in the moment. You can't come back 25 years, 50 years from now and say, I should have did so and so. You have to do it now because you're trying to set a precedent for those that's in the relay that you're going to pass the baton to down the line. We have to make our black kids have an understanding where they'll approach you and say, why did you do what you did? Make me understand what you were saying with this. If there's no visual content, where are they going to come and question you about anything that you've done? That thing that they talked about, they're trying to stop it. The thing that happened to me is a divine thing. This wasn't no thing that I planned. Whoever the creator of this universe is, they came to me when I was 7 years old and showed me that demonstration in the vein of the Lord. Look at myself standing in a box. And all the people yippee-ki-yay and crazy. And when it dawns on me, it took a minute for it to dawn on me, but when it dawned on me, they applauded for me. Because wasn't nobody out in that box but me. I'm right here and I tell people, I knock a lot of guys out coming up this hand. And this vision, I put my left hand up. And I put my hand up, not in the sense that I'm putting my hand up to make a statement. I was putting my hand up to wave to the people. Because I was, as a kid, if you make people happy, that makes you happy. And you want to wave and you want everybody in that stadium, you want to get on your toes because you want everybody to see you. And just as I got my hand, when you see it in that portrait today from Mexico, it froze in time. And everybody asked me, so man, why did it freeze in time? a frozen time because all of the joy and happiness instantaneously turned to venom, to anger, to booing, to spitting, to name calling, telling me where to go. It scared me to death. That happened in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock. We go to dinner every day. My father said, Johnny, what's the matter? I said, Daddy, I was in a movie. You was in a movie? What happened? I guess he could see I was distraught. What happened? Daddy started throwing things at me, calling me names. And I remember my father brought me into his chest. And he said to me, he said, son, nobody's going to bother you. You get a good education. Nobody's going to bother you. As a kid, that gave me a lot of confidence. My father said that. And then he leaned on my head and he said to my mother, he said, Bob, it looked like God's got something in mind for this kid. We're going to wait and see. 15 years later, I don't know if it was 15 years to the day, but 15 years later, I didn't understand that vision until I got on that victory stand. And I'm saying to myself, oh shit, excuse my language. That's exactly what I said. This is what that movie was all about. Okay? Why did he choose me? And I'll tell you right now, I tell a lot of people, I was far from a good student in school. I ain't read no books. You know, I ain't go study nobody, but I did have the smarts to say, let me go find Malcolm X. Let me run with him if I could. And I approached him and asked him after the third time of him speaking on 116th Street March, I said, Mr. X, could I go with you from one place to the next? He said, why do you want to go with me? I said, because I got voids in my mind. I got questions. I'm looking for answers. Something to fill the voids. And he smiled. I'll never forget them dimples in his cheeks and the big dimple in his chin. He looked down at me and he said to me, he said, if you can keep up, the brothers, they was tall, and we stood at Central Park, spent all our money, and had to walk home. So they fast walked, I had to run behind them. So when Malcolm X said, if you can keep up, ain't nothing but a step for me, let's do it. So I ran around here like a sponge, sucked up all the knowledge I could spend. And the power of the universe did it again. Because then, in 1968, someone told me, Professor Elva said, man, there's a meeting going on. I left East Texas State University, my wife, my kid, because of racism there. Came back to New York. I'm in the house having my mother paint her kitchen. Phone goes off. She said, oh, Daddy, it's Professor Edwards want to talk to you. Is that right? John, it's a meeting going taking place in the Americana Hotel, which was a hotel that was right across the street from the old garden. They changed the name now. The meeting take place. People asked me to invite you. Like my mother said, Ma, they got a meeting going, what you think? She said, if they invite you, you need to be there. I go downtown, I've been to hotels in my life. One time I ran out of the rain, the other time I went in was for this meeting. I go sit down, I'm looking back, and my mother liked nice things. I said, I can see that chandelier. I can see that portrait, the sofa, so I snapshot it, and I go up and I knock on the door. A guy opens the door that's in this town right here. And I'm looking at him and say, man, it can't be him, but it is him, but it can't be. It is. And the guy, in my recollection, was Andrew Young. And I'm saying it wasn't him because I'm saying Andrew Young is 6'3". So when I realized it was him, I'm saying the guy that took the pictures must have been there. This guy shooting up. And he was very nice. He invited me in, poured me what I like, soda, what I like, cookies or cake or sandwich. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all these luminaries walk around there. My mother, my father, my brother used to watch on TV. And I'm saying, what am I doing in this world? And I'm as solid as a rock. I don't get nervous about nothing. That day I got a little shaky. The door opened, side door opened, and Dr. King walked out of the room. I felt like I was petrified wood. The first thing I thought of, my mother needs to be here right now in my pocket or above on my account. My mother, and my mother always looked at Dr. King like, God sent him here to save the world. Here he is walking in the room. And he could see I was nervous. And I told everybody, I said, you know, Dr. King could have been a comedian if he would. Because he cracked a few jokes. He mellowed out me against everybody else in there. And the purpose of his meeting was to support the Olympic boycott. But in the process of him expressing why he wanted to do it, he made a statement that they sent a letter to him. And in the letter they said they had a booklet with his name on it, and he wouldn't have to wait. And I said to myself, wow, that's deep. So when the meeting was over, he said, is there any questions? Dr. King, I got 2 questions. Why would you support the Olympic boycott? You ever played any sports? And he smiled and he said, I can't shoot pool. You know, it's funny because today, I even think to myself today, is pool a game or is it athletics? He said, I can't shoot pool. I said, well, Dr. King, why would you get involved? And he said to me, he said, John, that's a very good question. He said, imagine you in a big lake, and you in a rowboat, and you row out to the center of the lake, and you take the oars and you put them down in the boat, and you pick up a rock, and you put that rock in your lap, and you sit there until everything is still and serene. He said, you take the rock and you throw it overboard. What happens? I said, it creates vibrations. He said, absolutely, it creates waves. He said, that rock is the Olympic boycott. He said, everything that lake knows that something's amiss. Everything on the shores of the lake knows something's amiss anyway. I'm still talking nonviolence. I put that in my basket. Then he said to me, he said, well, what's your second question? I actually forgot I had a second question. He had to remind me because I was blown away with the first answer. I remember I used to wear the same type of glasses. They was long-rim glasses, shades. They didn't dilate. And I remember pulling them glasses down my nose for the next question. But I said to him, I said, Dr. King, you said that they sent you a letter. He said, your name is on the bullet, you wouldn't have to wait long for it. He said, yes. I said, Dr. King, they talking about taking life, they talking about killing you. Why would you go back to Memphis? And he explained to me, he said, John, they had people that work for the sanitation department down there, say poor blacks and poor people in general. He said, oh, I have a voice, no one is there to speak for them. I'm going back for them. And I'm saying to myself, I said, Dr. King, they're talking about killing you. And he said to me, he said, John, he said, I've done many things in the flesh, and I'm revered by so many people. He said, what I will do here if they take my life won't be nothing what they've done in the flesh and how I can live in the spirit. And he was telling me about how his spirit, his recognition for who he was and what he stood for. They can kill me, but they can never kill what I stand for. That statement there took me to Mexico City and had my brain to evolve around a demonstration that would be so pungent to reach the far ends of the world and not damage anybody. They tried to bury it, they tried to disguise it, they tried to do everything for 53 years. And every year I've seen it mushroom even bigger and bigger and bigger. To the point now where America will accept and claim it as theirs. That's what they want to do with King. We're going to claim you as ours. Okay? This is why it's important for all of us to realize that, hey man, I'm not doing this for me. When I was 23 years old, you know what I thought about in the victory stand? I'm doing this for my kids. Anytime my kid was born, my daughter, my first kid was born into the world as a young man. My daughter was born while I was in high school. As a young man, I said, everything I do from this point on in my life is for my daughter and any brothers and sisters she'll have after her. Why? My daddy told me that. He said, son, I didn't go into war in the First World War to fight for America. I went to fight to give you the opportunities. And then you sit back and think about where it was for the First World War, where we are as black people, and think how much we have advanced. Yeah, they gave us some cosmetic, put you on TV and let you think from the All in the Family, in the Project. Then they let you move from All in the Family to George Jefferson, you got your own business. Then you move on up to the Huxtables and you said, oh, we moving on up. But that was sublime they was putting on you. You ain't moving nowhere. They put the game on you to make you think you was moving up. Because when 2% moving up and 98% is falling down, how you gonna say that's advancement? I got to go.